Hey everyone. This 2 weeks discussion and video assignment required us to visit a cemetery in our local area, which is definitely not something I or probably any of us is doing on a regular basis. This assignment really gave us the opportunity to get out and explore areas we might not have previously visited before. This assignment also was especially unique to me because I honestly haven't spent a lot of time in cemeteries and I haven't considered a lot of the things this discussion has asked us to think about before. I've never thought about how graves relate to socioeconomic status, and I've never really considered how socioeconomic status can affect what cemetery is chosen for you to be buried in general. Both of these important factors can say a lot about the life of someone you might find in a cemetery. A lot can also be discovered from looking at the ages and family groups of those lying in a cemetery. By being able to immerse myself in this environment, I was able to learn quite a bit about these things. Now, the cemetery I visited and examined for this assignment is the Mount Pleasant Cemetery in Sodus Township, Michigan. The cemetery is small, but not incredibly small. Uh, it has well over 100 graves within the property. One thing I quickly noticed when visiting the site was the overall layout. It seems the oldest graves, dating back into the mid 1800s, were located in the front of the site, and as you went further back, there was more recent graves. Uh, One has to assume most graveyards operate this way. Another interesting thing I noticed was that this wasn't a particularly wealthy cemetery. There were no mausoleums, and only a number of the gravestones were taller than a couple of feet. There were quite a few differences between the way the older gravestones were set up, though, and the way the newer gravestones were set up. One of the most intriguing things that I noticed was how the older gravestones were more family oriented, uh, or so it seems. For many, for many of these more family oriented gravestones, there was a larger gravestone for the overall family, and then each individual member had their own smaller corresponding stone. I would assume this was more common as individuals didn't move away as often as they do today, and planning family grave sites seems to have been more common. It was also interesting to see this being done for older graves, but not so much for the more recent graves. Although I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule. As far as I could see, there was nothing like it in the more modern parts of the site, though. The older graves also seemed far more complex from a craftsmanship point of view. The newer graves at the site seemed uh, mostly the same, while the older gravestones were quite more unique. Uh, this is also something I've noticed with architecture in society today. Older architecture many times seems to be more intricate than modern styles that are more sleek and smooth. Obviously, again, there are exceptions to this. Different materials were also used for the gravestones from different times. The older gravestones seem to be carved out of more rough stone, while newer plots have gravestones that were very smooth and polished. I don't specifically know the types of stone used at this site, but it's interesting to think about. As I mentioned in the written part of my discussion, this site is actually on my way home from work, and I've noticed it many times before. However, I've never really considered stopping there because I obviously don't know anyone who was buried there. I appreciate that this assignment gave us a chance to explore a little bit, though, even if it was to a graveyard. Uh, I suppose if you want to get serious with the field of archaeology, you have to be decently comfortable being around the dead, though. Overall, I hope everyone had a great experience with this because I know I did and I learned a lot. I'm sure this won't be my last archaeological adventure either, though. Best of luck to everybody in the coming module, and thanks for listening.